Hey friends, welcome back to the Thriving Podcast. It's your girl, Sarah Kimono, and today we're getting a little personal. And as you can see by the title of today's episode, I'm going to be talking about things I'm not afraid to admit as a 28-year-old girl or woman, grown woman, and we're going to jump right into it. First things first, I'm so glad I didn't succumb to the pressure of marrying young. Now, let me give you a bit of context. I was presented suitors in my early 20s. I was about to say at a very young age, but I don't want you guys to think that I was a candidate of being a child bride. No, just like in my early 20s, around maybe 23, suitors were being presented to me. And at that time, I was still getting to know myself. And at the same time, I knew if I had said yes to these suitors, I would lose my identity entirely. And I wasn't prepared for that. And at the same time, how was I supposed to arm my home spiritually when my relationship with God wasn't as strong as it is today? I had a relationship with God, but the relationship was still growing and it was still delicate at that time. And as you know, as a married person, you really have to spiritually arm your home, and you also need to be emotionally mature. And I don't think I was in a space where I was spiritually and emotionally strong enough for what marriage takes. And so I kept saying no when marriage was presented, and little did I know, those no's were God's divine protection. And looking back, if I had said yes, I know I would have been unhappy. Is the dating pool ghetto right now? Absolutely. But I would rather be single and happy than to be married and wishing I wasn't. And so through prayer and reading this amazing book, guys, please take note of the title of this book. You will thank me later. So through prayer and reading this book called The 4 Laws of Love by Jimmy Evans, God really opened my eyes to some things nobody prepared me for. Absolutely nobody. And I love this book so much, whether you are single or married, or even if you're not looking to get married, but just you want to be more knowledgeable and more experienced at being in a relationship, please get the book, The 4 Laws of Love by Jimmy Evans. Now, the next thing that I'm not afraid to admit is that I used to think praying for a husband meant, God, please give me a fine, rich man who would cook for me. I wasn't entirely wrong, but at the ripe age of 27, God was like, girl, you better be praying for things that will actually serve you in marriage. Having a fine man is good. Having a rich man is absolutely amazing. And having a man who will cook for you, chef's kiss. But marriage is more than that, you know. You need to know and understand the purpose of marriage and your marriage to your spouse. You need to be sacrificial, and you have to have a servitude attitude. And I know that before realizing this, I was selfish as hell. And I know I would have probably attracted a very selfish man too. And we were going to butt heads because we were going to be 2 selfish people in a marriage. So I am glad that God has given me wisdom, knowledge, discernment, and He is revealing things to me that I had no idea that these things would be needed in marriage. So, yeah. And so, the next thing I'm not afraid to admit is that for the longest time, I actually hated when people told me, pray for your husband. I didn't like that. Because at the same time, like, people would say this to me. I think this was still like when I was still even a teenager. It was like, you'd always have like conversations with your friends, and not only with your friends, but like aunties would come around, or even your mom. It's like, okay, my mom has never said this to me. Let me not even lie. My mom has never said this to me, but other people have always said, you have to pray for your husband, and the type of man you would want to be married to and stuff. And I was still very young, and I was like, I'm still trying to eat my youth, period. And so my prayer for a husband was very short, literally 2 lines. He must be cute, he must be moneyed, and that's on per. But I also have to admit that I carried a lot of shame behind that. I carried a lot of shame behind praying for a husband, because I felt like I was being desperate and like I was seeking for male validation. So it didn't feel good. It didn't feel right for me. But as I mentioned before, like at the ripe age of 27, that's when things started clicking. And through prayer and deep conversations with my sister and my friends, and also just doing real internal work, I finally realized it's not about being desperate. It's about preparing your heart for divine partnership. And speaking of internal work, here's another thing I'm not afraid to admit. I had a very unhealthy view of men and marriage. I was the commander-in-chief of I Hate Men Enterprise. I used to think nothing good came from men, but I wanted to marry one. I was basically contradicting myself. Like, you hate men, but you want to marry one? Yeah. I was that girl. And a lot of women are like me out there, and I can't blame them. I really can't. And my mom used to say, Sarah, you hate your husband before you've even met him. She used to say that all the time, because I would always talk about how much I hated men. And I honestly felt justified by my anger. But that anger felt so heavy. And, right now, I'm not trying to be a pick me, choose me, love me person. But carrying that bitterness was so draining. And so I asked God to help me see men as individuals, not just as a collective of disappointment. And slowly, God started working in me. And to be honest, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to die on the heel of defending men. But I also don't want to walk around with that weight anymore. It's not my portion to carry, and it's not yours to carry either. But if you want to go on and hate men, I see the trend on Twitter. It makes me laugh. Like, I used to engage in that type of content on social media, and TikTok is so bad with it. Like, I say Twitter, but I meant TikTok. TikTok is so bad with that content. Like, and it's really funny, but I don't want to carry that energy anymore. I really don't. And maybe I sound like a pick-me. Like, you might even think, oh, yeah, she's 28. She wants to get married so bad. So now she's saying she doesn't hate men anymore. No, no, no. Like, you may think that, but it's not that. I just felt like, nah, I don't like this energy. I don't want to carry this energy anymore. It's too heavy. It's draining. And honestly, there isn't much I can do about it. So I decided to just change my perspective and just be different for myself, because I just feel like that is just healthier for me. So yeah, for anybody who thinks I'm being a pick me, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not a pick me. Anyways, the next thing that I'm not afraid to admit is that I am a late bloomer. So that means I've always experienced things lost. I'm always the last one to experience things. And that used to make me so sad, but not anymore. And I see it as a gift, because I still get to experience my firsts. And that makes life so exciting. So if you're like me, you're a late bloomer, you haven't experienced much in life, don't be sad about it. It's okay. At the right time, these things will start happening for you. And at least by then, you will be more experienced, more knowledgeable. You'll have more preparation and wisdom for these things and enjoy it more. That's what I've come to realize. Like, every time I experience something for the first time that other people have already experienced, like at a really young age, it doesn't bother me anymore, because I'm still happy and excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, so this is how this feels. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my. Like, I still get to experience that excitement, and I get to experience that excitement with so much wisdom and appreciation for the thing. So don't feel bad about yourself if you're a late bloomer. Embrace it and enjoy it. And so the next thing I'm not afraid to admit is that I am blessed with such beautiful friends. I love them so much. And friends are good for you. They are like vitamins for your soul. And different friends serve different purposes. And that's what makes life rich and interesting. I love yapping, kicking, and crying with my friends. And I'm still open to making new ones. Yeah. At my big age, I'm still open to making new friends. I'm really, really not those type of people who are like, I have my 3 friends and I'm going to stick to my 3 friends because I like my circle small, yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm not one of those people. And if you're like that, that's fine. That's good, because you know your capacity and what you can handle and what feeds your soul. But as for me, I love friends. I love having friends. I love making new friends. So I'm still open to making new friends. And right now, I just feel more confident and I have healthier boundaries. And so I think I'm at a stage where I think it would be easy for me to maintain healthy friendships. And so I feel like the same way that you pray for your future man is the same way that you should pray for good friends, for your current friends, and for friends that you would like to have. And so with that being said, speaking about friends, another thing I'm not afraid to admit is that if I could be friends again with my old friends or my ex-friends in another life, I would. I definitely would. I just do things differently this time around with the wisdom and grace that I have now. I would definitely choose them. I mean, even like the friends where things kind of ended badly, I would still choose them in another life and literally be like, girl, I choose you. And this time, let's do it properly. Please. For my sake and for your sake. Because I love you, girl. I love you. I've always loved you. And I will always love you. So I would definitely pick my old friends, pick my ex-friends to be my friends again in my next life. I mean, I always think about like my friends from high school whom like we just drifted apart. Like nothing bad happened. We just drifted apart because we went in different directions of life or whatever. Like I still think about them till today and I'm like, damn, man, I miss you, friend. I want to be your friend today. I miss you. you know, I still love my old friends. I really do. And then lastly, I'm not afraid to admit that my relationship with my parents wasn't always perfect, but watching them grow older makes me so sad. I mean, they're growing old and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, I always think about, damn, when I was just a kid, my parents were still very young. And in my head, when I was a kid, I felt like my parents were so old. But they weren't. They were literally like in their late 30s, maybe, when I grew consciousness, you know? And now they are old. And yeah, man, it makes me so emotional. And I pray that they live long enough to see my dreams come true. I want them to smile so big because of me. I want my parents to be proud of me. I want the rest of our time together to be nothing but joy because honestly, we deserve that. And yeah, I love them so much. And yeah, that's it for today's episode. Those are the things I'm not afraid to admit. Please comment or leave a review of things you're not afraid to admit at the age you're in right now. And if anything resonated with you, please send this episode to your group chat, to your friends, to your colleagues, to your boss, to whoever. Just send this episode so that others can also be blessed with this message. And remember, your journey doesn't have to look like everyone else's. You're thriving in your own way at your own pace. Catch you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and follow this podcast. I love you all. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.